says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe everything that I have commanded you." I am Elizabeth Josiah, and this is EMS Today. Thank you for joining us on EMS Today. On this episode, we will be looking at one of EMS's critical units, the cross borders, to learn more about EMS's extension to other countries. Has carrying out the Great Commission been a rosy one? We'll get to learn more on this episode, and there's no better person to have on this conversation rather than Reverend Joshua Yakubu, the cross-border coordinator. Good to have you on the program today.
Thank you, madam.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to give us a general overview on what cross-border is as it relates to EMS.
Okay, thank you so very much. As the name implies, cross-border. Cross-border simply means, EMS work outside the shore of Nigeria. And so reaching out to other nations outside Nigeria. Of course, we know when the meaning of ECWA was Evangelical Church of West Africa. EMS in countries outside Nigeria were primarily focusing within the neighboring countries. But following the chain of the meaning of ECWA to Evangelical Church winning all, this enlarged the scope of the cross-border field to extend not only to Africa, not only West Africa, but Eastern and then Southern Africa, and then even in Europe, and then in America.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kindly share with us some of the countries, that is names of countries that EMS is stationed right now.
Currently, EMS is operating in 18 countries.
Wow.
So we have ECWA in Benin Republic, we have ECWA in Togo, we have ECWA in Ghana, we have ECWA in the Gambia, and then in Senegal. Actually, Gambia and Senegal is being championed by one coordinator. And then we have ECWA in Niger Republic, we have ECWA in Burkina Faso, we have ECWA in Mali, we have ECWA in Cameroon, we have ECWA in Chad Republic, we have ECWA in Kenya, we have ECWA in Malawi, we have ECWA in Zambia, we have ECWA in Israel, we have ECWA in Canada, we have ECWA in the UK, we have ECWA in the US. Yeah.
Wow, just for someone out
and
there.
actually in Malawi, Malawi handle Mozambique.
Okay.
Yeah, Mozambique inclusive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think ECWA is just here. Some of ECWA members actually feel that ECWA is just here. But it's actually a large number. It is
sure.
19. That's large. Okay, so tell us what informed the decision of EMS to begin in other countries.
Well, it's not far-fetched from the Great Commission. Of course, looking at the Bible, in Matthew 28, the Bible says, start in your Jerusalem, and so Nigeria is our Jerusalem. And then, of course, and then extend to the final part of the world. And so that's the basic reason. And then, of course, going by the name ECWA, the meaning of ECWA, winning all, okay, the quest of winning everybody, the whole world for Christ, is a Catholics. Is a trigger point to embarking in a cross-border field. Our desire is to reach out to the entire world. So I want to say in a summary is the quest of fulfilling the Great Commission. Nigeria is our Jerusalem. So it's starting at Jerusalem and then Judea, Samaria, and then Fatima, part of the world. And of course, we have many laws out there. So that's just the trigger point.
That's great. We would like to know which of the countries is the first that EMS started with.
I want to assume it to be Togo.
Okay.
Actually, Togo, because far back 1985 or thereabout, when Reverend Samuel Yako, Reverend Joshua Bokonjoko, and then Reverend I think Sunday Bonhort, Samuel Yako, and then Bokonjoko, they were commissioned to go out. And of course, Joshua Bokonjoko went to Niger Republic, And then Samuel Yako went to Togo, and then Sunday Bonhort went to the US.
Okay.
So they are, I want to say, I see them as pioneer missionaries. But before then, well, we hear, well, EMS have sent missionaries like to Ghana, but again, they were working with partner church,
Okay.
EMS related churches. But this individual became the pivot point of starting EMS, or EQUA in those countries. And of course, again, before then, EMS was also sponsoring missionaries like in Niger Republic and then in Chad Republic. But again, those missionaries were not planting EQUA churches then. They were working with EMS, the SIM-related churches. So many years back. So, but it started somewhat disorganized, but as it grows, it's taking a proper shape.
Sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned Reverend Yako as being one of the pioneers, that is in Togo in particular.
Yeah, sure.
I know he's a Nigerian.
He is.
So then, would you say does nationality play a role when it comes to selecting or choosing who is going to lead a particular station that EMS is trying to start up in a different country?
Personality play a vital role. You can't just pick anybody and send anywhere. And then, of course, every field is peculiar. And so you have to understand the field and then trust in the Lord to give you a missionary that can tarry with that field. Okay. And then, of course, and you know that mission work has to do with flexibility. If you are a missionary and you're not flexible, it will be very, very difficult for you to be very, very impactful. So what do I mean? Yes, I have my rigidity, I have the way things have been done in this country. Every country is unique. And so when you use Nigeria to assess other country, you will make a very gross mistake. So every country is unique, and that is why getting to a country, you have to survey. You have to study that country to really know their culture and and then trust the Lord to give you a missionary that can best fit in that context. Otherwise, you just so it's very, very key. It's very, very key.
Still on this, let's stretch our feet out to the training ground. Would you say the training that is being given to a cross-border missionary is different from the training that is being given to a home missionary?
Yeah, the difference is the culture. Make the culture. So it make a difference. We are, for example, West African countries. We are called ECOWAS. Though we are West African countries and we are ECOWAS, but every country is unique. We have some similar culture, but there are some cultures that are particularly unique to every country. And so that is it. So when you are sending a missionary into cross-cultural mission, definitely there are things that you need to put into consideration. Honestly, I have seen people analyzing and try to compare the ministry here in Nigeria and across Nigeria. Is a gross mistake. There are many things that are workable here in Nigeria. They are not workable in other countries. So it will not be a good yardstick to measure. Sure. So getting missionaries to be sent across, though their training should be a bit unique, be a bit different. There's a common ground every missionary is supposed to have as graduate training. But you take the country into cognizance as regards to the culture, as regards to what is peculiar to those people in that country. So the mission we are sending there should also be channeled in that direction to knowing that. So yeah, there should be a little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've talked about culture being one of the challenges when it comes to cross-border missions.
Yeah.
What are some of the other challenges that when it comes to the planning stage, okay, we want to go to Sierra Leone, and the execution too when you get to Sierra Leone, and sustaining the mission field in Sierra Leone? I'm just using Sierra Leone as an example.
Yeah.
So what are other challenges that cross-border faces?
Okay, I served as a cross-border missionary for 10 years. So I may just give a bit of my experience, and then, of course, with experience that others are facing. Now, definitely, I'm a Nigerian by nationality, but I served in Togo for 10 years. And then, when I went to Togo, there was a shock. There's this culture shock. Now, okay, let me just give you a bit. You know, like in Nigeria, I visited in your home, and then we welcome me outside as if you don't want me, as if you don't welcome me. But do you know what the Togolese does? They do. Who dare you that a Togolese will welcome you into his sitting room? The highest they do, most especially, they build their houses and then they have a veranda. The highest they can do, they keep in their veranda. And the highest they offer you is drinking water. So for a Togolese to take you to his sitting room, it takes something else. To me, it was something else that I've never seen. That somebody welcome to his house but put you outside. In Nigeria, like, we are not welcome.
Yes,
Or
exactly.
maybe you say, okay, let me
Exactly.
just rest here. So it was a shock to me. It was a shock to me. And then I know in Nigeria on Sunday, especially the state I'm brought up. When it is Sunday, you know that it's Sunday. But in Togo, when it is Sunday is, you see everybody doing his thing like it's not a different day. People, some people will say is my rest day, is my washing day. So they wash their thing. Unlike in Nigeria, you see people trying to set up and go to church. To them is the opposite. And so this kind of differences is there, you see it. And then you know that once we are cross-border missionary, that's not your country. So you look different among the people.
Yes.
You look different among the people. You are already accustomed with a particular culture. And you go out there, definitely you have to not readjust. You have to begin to study some of these things. Okay, like now, you know, in Nigeria particularly, like where I came from, even for example, as a lady you are now, it is very, very rare. When you are greeting me as a man, you first give me a hand to shake.
Yes.
But it's common there. Children wouldn't mind to give an elderly person a hand to shake.
Oh, wow.
They do it. Children wouldn't mind. Children would just say it, and then they will do this. Yeah, and then women. So these are a kind of, and then it's not common here. The training we have, you as a junior person, first give an elderly person hand until if he gives you. So if they give you, you will like, you know. But I tell you, children do that, and then women will do it. It's normal.
All right, sir. Let me give you a breather now. When we return from the break, we'll continue. So I would like you to hold your thoughts. We'll quickly go for a break, and when we return, we'll continue this very interesting conversation with no other person but Reverend Joshua Yakubu. Stay with us.
EMS has stepped into the vacuum to lift many Nigerians out of poverty for over 70 years.
As the word of God says, like Matthew 28:19, it says, "Go and make disciples to all nations, baptizing them in the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." That is in essence to tell you that whoever that is a Christian living today is an EMS member.
We were once in the dark. If we remember from the history of Ekwa, the three young men, Thomas Kent, Walter Gowans, and Ronald Bingham, they left their country. They were young people, vibrant, full of life. They came to Africa to preach the gospel. The result of that gospel is what we are enjoying today.
Main aim of EMS is to win souls for Christ. How did they get funding? EMS has a motto: go in faith, prayer and action. And since that 1948, it has lived on going in faith, prayer and action.
We are what we are today because of young men, missionaries that left their comfort zone to come to us with the word.
Inasmuch as EMS of Ekwa has done so many things and is still doing, one of it is they are not just winning souls, they make life better for people in the rural area. For instance, they have dug well in many places. They have erected structures for worships in many places, apart from the fact that they win souls to Christ, they also help communities to live better lives.
When you look at the way a young man thinks, or young people think, they think that they have more time to spend on art. You understand? So let them take their time before they will come and join the EMS. But gone are the days when it is said that it is the old people that die. Now anybody can die. Any day you die, your Jesus has come. And when you die, what do you have to go and give account for in heaven? Doesn't matter whether you are old or you are young.
Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil.
For close to 15 years, Nigeria and some parts of Africa have been overwhelmed by insurgency. Evil is on the increase and the love of many have grown cold. Thousands killed, millions displaced from their homes and ancestral lands, with properties worth billions of naira destroyed. EMS, through the help of God and your support, has been able to reach out to the world in these times by responding through church planting, human capital development, missionary welfare, and evangelistic bridges. Missions Week 2022 is here, a great opportunity for you as a believer to be part of what EMS is doing to reach out to the world. Theme: Gathering Nations for His Second Coming, from the 25th of April through to the 1st of May 2022.
Wherever you are, you can preach the gospel through various means. You can give your time, you can give your resources. And we thank God that the week of prayer for EMS is around the corner.
From the 25th of April to the 1st of May. Will you be part of it? I enjoin you to be part of this winning team for the Lord.
Men, if you have not been participating in this type of week, I want to encourage you and I want to urge the men that the time has come for us to come out and support EMS.
Donate generously.
Donate generously.
Donate generously.
EMS of Ekwa, go in faith, prayer, and action. Welcome back from the break. It's still EMS Today, and I've been discussing with the coordinator of Cross Borders in the person of Reverend Joshua Yakubu. So, sir, we've talked about the cultural challenges that come with missions across borders. Let's talk about the financial implication now of having a cross-border missionary. I would appreciate it if you're able to compare cross-border missionary and even the home missionary when it comes to the financial implication.
Yeah, okay, thank you. When we talk about financial implication, to me, comparison does not even arise there. It is way cheap, very cheap to sponsor a national missionary, a home missionary, compared to a cross-border. In fact, I would say maybe let's say 30 home missionaries to a single cross-border missionary. As when you talk about financial implication, there are many things involved. For example, house rent. There's none of our cross-border missionary that we are paying his house rent per annum less than 700,000 naira. There are some at one point over 1 million. And they are not these big houses. They are below average. Even I can hide it. They are below average. And then, so days of rentage is so expensive. Instead of residential permit, instead of work permit, is still capital intensive. Now, these are the things we are talking about now. Yes. Rent, residential permit, work permit. There are some countries that, well, you can maybe overlook that. You don't dare do that in Ghana. You don't dare do that in the Gambia. I'm talking about West African countries now.
Yes.
You must pay your residential permit. And then when it's expired for 1 month, they will charge you. They penalize you, you pay penalty. So some of these small countries are so organized. Unlike Nigeria, everybody can flood into Nigeria and do what he wants. So these countries are so organized, so you don't dare it. You don't dare it. So cause of rentage, residential permit, work permit. That one aside, now you talk about living condition. The living condition is so expensive. For example, we cry in Nigeria of increase of fuel. Is nothing compared to some countries. Now, we just came back with the director. We visited Kenya, visited Malawi, we visited Zambia. In all of those 3 countries we visited, none, a liter of fuel is less than 600 naira. None. Equivalent to Nigerian currency. In Kenya, it's over 600 naira. In Zambia, present rate now is over 700 naira per a liter. The story is not far-fetched in Malawi. Now, and you know that if fuel is expensive, what happened with the living condition? Now, okay, let me give you an example. Do you know a packet of Maggi? A packet of Maggi, like in the Gambia, is 1,500 naira.
A packet of seasoning.
This Maggi you talk about. So it's expensive. The cost of living is way expensive. And so now taking rentage, residential, work permit, and then the issue of the fuel we talk about is expensive. So when it affects fuel, it affects everything. So as I said, it's uncomparable. Honestly, let me take example for Gambia. To only a family, maybe we said 4 million naira per annum. And this excludes rentage. Now, when you put rentage, averagely we need 5 million naira.
So let's say annually now, to maintain a missionary, how much does it cost?
Cross-border?
Yes.
I would say averagely 5 to 6 million naira. Annually.
This conversation is very heavy. Let's leave it there for a while. Now let's go to the people now. Now I'd like you to pick a country that interests you and share with us based on this question. Tell us about their culture and how you've seen the presence of EMS, the presence of the gospel in that community has affected them, their way of life positively.
Okay, yes, I know I have visited different countries, but let me just use Togo. Togo is where I live. I consider Togo to be my second country. I live in Togo for 10 years, so let me just use them as an example. When I told you, when I go to Togo, I had a culture shock. Number one, the way they welcome people. For you to visit a Togolese and then he will give you food is difficult. The highest they offer is water. And so when you visit them, they don't welcome you into their sitting room. They welcome you in the veranda. Before they even greet you, they'll bring you water. When you finish drinking water, and then you start greeting. Okay, so it's a cultural shock to me. And then number two, their way of life as regards to Christianity. As it is up to date, Voodoo, African traditional religion, is the dominant religion in Togo up to now. And so they are into it. So you see home littered with idols. It was a shock to me. Now, even when you browse to the net, you will discover that marriage is nothing. A lady can go and stay with a man and give birth to children without bride price, without anything, and then she will leave. You can find a lady that has circulated like 5 men, and then in every man she has a child or 2. It's so shocking. I know in Nigeria, well, maybe it may be common, but I know in Nigeria that boys go after girls, but in Togo, girls go after boys.
Wow.
So it was a shock to me.
So how has EMS been able to influence those kind
Good
of
one.
cultures?
Good one. Now, do you know what? Before I left Togo, I entered people's home. I entered their sitting room. Why? That was not the case before. In fact, they would say, please come inside. That was not the case before. So I saw the impact of the gospel. That individualistic life. Okay, individualistic life. And you know, a Frenchman by nature, like individualistic life. That individualistic life, through the power of the gospel, began to be broken. When you visit them, they will not welcome you in. When they come, you welcome them in.
Yeah.
So that was gradually broken. So I saw openness, that they can welcome you, that they can offer you food, that, I mean, that was not the case before.
Yeah.
So I saw the impact of the gospel.
But how receptive were they to the gospel at first when you got there?
Wow. Resentment. Yeah, a Frenchman by nature is individualistic. They are not opened. But through the power of the gospel, that gene was broken. As many that we were able to closely monitored or discipled. Honestly, that thing I didn't see existing again. It's perplexing. It's the contrary the case.
Yes.
So I saw the power of the gospel breaking or cutting across the culture and then affecting it positively. I saw it.
All right, so quickly, I'd like you to share with us some of the testimonies you have heard firsthand from locals where EMS has found its way to. Some of the testimonies, positive testimonies you've heard from locals after the visitation of EMS.
Yes, the testimonies are enormous. They're enormous all over the place. You know, the gospel has power to transform, power to make the impossible possible. And so I saw that completely at work. For example, when you see somebody has placed an allegiance to a man-made God, and then tomorrow and say, I don't want that God, and then abandoning that God, and then offering that God to be destroyed. You know, that is only the gospel that can do that.
Yes.
It's only the gospel that can do that.
All right, sir. So before you continue, please, I'd like you to hold your thought. Let's quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue with that energy. So stay with us. EMS Today will be back.
It has been hard penetrating northern Nigeria with the gospel, especially the northwest.
We have been facing a lot of challenges in terms of Christians being persecuted, our churches being burnt, and so many people killed.
Even in this insurgency, many are coming to Christ.
There have been significant strides, but we are not anywhere near a total takeover.
Persecution to the believers has not been a new thing. But despite persecution, God has been helping us to use these platforms of church planting.
These insurgencies have made many communities run away from their location.
The gospel has always been transported through the blood of the martyrs, often becoming the seed of the gospel. Now that seed is planted, it has germinated, it has grown, and is only waiting for harvest.
God decided that I will use these insurgencies to isolate them away from where they are, take them to a non-hostile location, bring other tribes to live among them. They can never be hostile. In fact, the last time we traveled, they were the people driving us from Zamfara State, from Katsina State, those who drove us around.
It is God, indeed, leading the department to take it upon themselves to visit the Southwest and to see by themselves without anybody's invitation.
I'm glad to hear that EMS is coming down Southwest to reach many of our towns and the villages that surround some of our DCC Southwest.
God sees everything and He will tell us. And that is why He tells us what will happen at the end time. Now, He used one of His missionaries at Titcomb College. And that missionary prophesies a time is coming up that at the community many strangers will be there. Not Egbe alone, but all the surrounding. And that when they come, we should please welcome them with the gospel.
We visited village after village, bumpy, dusty, windy roads, often trekking to what appears to be a forgotten and no-go forest areas, until boom, a whole life of people appears in the middle of nowhere.
As bad as the insurgencies were or are, God is raising an army of believers among the Fulani tribe, the Hausa tribe, and the Bororo tribe, who will take leadership of the gospel in this country. We can't miss out on this opportunity.
God has delivered the North to us. He used these insurgencies to isolate a large number of Northerners so that they can hear and accept the gospel.
For the EMS of Ekwa, in a time like this, revisiting the work of the SIM missionaries around these areas that we've mentioned. In fact, when we are crying for revival in Ekwa, I must confess to you that this is an answer to the prayers of Ekwa.
I actually don't see, again, what revival we are praying for. This is the revival Ekwa has been praying for, and we can only cash in on the opportunity.
We are organizing one of the biggest outreaches in the history of our ministry, the Saturation Campaign.
EMS and Ekwa, we are organizing an outreach in Southwest, and by God's grace, we'll be going there to reach out to our people, to reach out to various communities with the gospel message, the good news, and that's why Christ came.
By the 11th of May, we are taking 1,000 people to this location.
Arrival date will be on the 11th of May 2022, while departure date will be on the 16th of May 2022. The outreach will feature one-on-one and house-to-house witnessing, the Jesus theme, and the proclaimer. To be part of this massive gospel outreach and saturation campaign, all interested participants can register with the sum of 40,000 naira only, which will cover for transportation, logistics, and feeding, while participants within the host DCCs will register with the sum of 20,000 naira only.
We want to make a special appeal for donors or donation towards this outreach. We want to also appeal for medical specialists, especially like nurses, doctors, that will avail themselves for this outreach, and also donation of medical of drugs and any other first aid item that we needed for this outreach.
I can't wait to see how God will unfold and make this possible. May God bless you as you prayerfully donate, participate, and be part of this outreach in any way God is leading you.
For more information on how to register, please visit our website at www.emsofekwa.org or call 080-3593-8889 or 080-3452-9504. God bless you as you join EMS of Ekwa to spread the gospel.
Welcome back from the break. It's still EMS Today, and I've been discussing with Reverend Joshua Yakubu. Before we went on that break, sir, you were sharing with us testimonies after the visitation of EMS. Please go on.
Yeah, as I said, the testimonies are just too numerous. but I just want to say few. Okay, for example, I saw God literally brought somebody back to life. Now, you see, as I said, for example, Togo is predominantly idol worship. So a day came, this man was attacked, and then they took him to native doctor. And when they took him to the native doctor, the native doctor fought his hand over and said, well, they brought him a dead person. And then, so there's nothing he can do. According to him, they have written off the guy. The guy will not survive. And somehow. And then I was called. They came and met me and said, okay, this what happened and all of that. And I went to the house actually. And when I went to the house, that native doctor was still in the house. So, and I went to their room. And I started praying. They narrated what happened and I started praying. When I started praying, I discovered my prayer was hanging within the room I was in. I stopped. And I said to them, what is going on? What is wrong? Something is going wrong. I didn't know that something was going wrong. There was a dialogue outside as regards to the native doctor. So when I had that, I said, then I would know, well, this is your person. If you want me to pray, then allow me to pray. And then finally, I left that place. Actually, I said, I was not convinced because the environment was very tense. I said, okay, if you want me to pray, take him to the church. It's close to the church where I was. And they told the guy to the church. He can't walk. The guy was already dying. And they took him to the church. And they took him to the church. Friends, my sister asked that this is a clear story. When we started praying, to cut a long story short, this man that native doctor has given up and said, this man is already dead, came back alive. Wow. And you know what? That broke the gene. Brought about his salvation, the salvation of his family, the salvation of close neighbors. They saw God's supernatural power literally. In one of the field, now let me get out of Togo, one of the field, a missionary shared about how God delivered a woman, a Muslim actually. She was like, she's pregnant, but she was not pregnant. It was a sickness. Literally, as he prayed with that lady, literally, that stomach that looks as if she's pregnant came back flat. That led to the conversion of that Muslim lady. There was a lady that, okay, she, opposite the church where we are in Lome, is a house where they sell water. And then this lady was selling the water. So she was closed for that fateful day, and then she went home. So she forgot something in the office where she was staying to sell water, and she came back to pick it. When she entered, she passed people on the veranda sitting and she greeted them. She entered the room and she had an invisible hand slap her. And that invisible hand slapped her, she became blind, completely blind. She can't see. She started like shouting, and then the people she greeted and passed, and they thought she was joking. But when she had her persisting, crying, and then below and behold, they saw her blind. Fortunately, they didn't take her to a native doctor. As usual, they had cases. They took her to the church. And then while I was sitting in the house was close to the church, they came and called me. And I said, well, long story, blah, blah, blah. And then I went, and then when I entered, in fact, when they told me the story, I knew it's the enemy that did that. So when I entered, and then that thing has alerted a lot of people, people that even not Christian, they have entered, seen it. What is wrong? And to me, I saw God organizing a crusade for me. Because God used that incident to bring about the salvation of many. So when I entered, and then I saw the lady sat, and then with her eyes completely closed. She can't see, she can't open. And I told them, I said, it's the work of the enemy. That's what I was letting my spirit to tell them. As within a period of short period, this blind eye opened up completely. And you know what? As I said, many people have gathered, come and see what was happening. Yes. That was an opportunity for message. And then many give their life to Christ. So I tell people, I'm back home and my faith has reduced. See, God, in cases like that, God do extraordinary things to draw people to Christ.
Sure. Oh.
So, missionary testimonies of power encountered, deliverance of different kinds, and all of that, they are numerous to mention. And then it's a way of God is bringing to like just
Just as you say, God does things all for His glory.
Yes.
All right, let's dive into EMS's projects. Aside preaching the gospel, what else does EMS do, and what is she doing in other countries?
Okay, actually, EMS try to do a holistic ministry, Jesus type of ministry. Yeah, you go, the primary target is soul winning. But again, when you win soul, you also need to think of how to develop the place.
Yes.
Issue of schools is there. Issue of medical care is there. So we preach, but again, we also think of development. We buy land. In our last trip with the director, specifically in Zambia, we spent 5 million naira just to buy land. And those land we for church, and then for development, it depends on whatever we feel. It can be a capturing point of that people, of the nation.
Sure.
Because every nation is peculiar. For example, in Kenya, we saw things particularly important. Already school is existing there. Kenya started in 2015. Apart from the church, there's a school. The school has over 300 children now. And so we saw that by the time that we empower that school, is already enough now. In fact, we saw issue of rain also is very, very a capture point. And so we think of school, we think of medical care, we think of whatever can boost the country that we saw is a capturing point. We reach the man spiritually, we did the physical man as well.
All right, thank you very much. Let's talk about how EMS checks on the activities and the growth of cross-border stations, just quickly.
On the policy, it demands that every cross-border field should be checked at least once a year, but that thing has been left out. And the reason is because lack of finances. But believe you me, the best way to evaluate a field or to check a field is not on paper, physically.
Yes.
What is in the paper could be different from what is in reality. So normally on ID ground, that every cross-border field should be visited once a year. But that one is not done.
Because of finances.
Because of finances. So there's no close checking. We only supervise them on paper, which is not ideal. You don't get the true information on ground.
So I see finance is actually a very huge challenge. So for someone out there, we're rounding up this conversation now. For someone out there who wants to support what EMS is doing across borders, how can that person come in?
Yeah, it depends. That person can be specific. Maybe I want to support the Gambia, or I want to support Kenya, or okay, I give this amount for cross-border work. For example, we are preparing a candidate for Israel. You know his budget for 1 year, 20 million.
For a year?
For a year, 20 million naira. So he's rich. He's rich. The way we are doing, we can't be impactful. We can't be impactful. A missionary managing life, how can you relax to even do the work? So it's capital intensive. I want to call the viewers all over the world. Please, let's invest in kingdom expansion. Let's invest. When we talk about manpower, EMS have more than enough. But we're handicapped financially. And that's just the point. And then the mistake many people make, they said, is let's help EMS. We are not helping EMS. It's the work of God. So when we see it as it is our work, and let's put our head together and make it grow, we give more.
All
But when we say let help EMS, is it their work?
Thank you very much, sir. So I see you have a lot to say regarding the support towards cross-border missions. I would like you to hold your thoughts. When we return from this break, you'll have a lot of time to talk about it. Let's go on a break. When we return, EMS Today continues. Stay. you just watched was covered by our director and the cross-border, that is their last visit to Malawi of recent. And you've been there of recent. I'm sure you must have seen some of the challenges that are there. You visited other countries too, but then let's try to focus on Malawi, and then how can a supporter come in?
Yeah, actually, number one, the Malawians are blessed. Is a country. In fact, the set of Malawi is like Plateau State. They have a lot of rocks all over the place, and they have a lot of fruit. They are blessed. But I discovered the Malawians are suffering in abundance because of ignorance. And that is why the director brought about this community development, how they can get out of their mindset and then enjoy the abundance there. In Malawi, God has blessed us with the headquarters land. But that headquarters land is still undeveloped. It's still undeveloped. So there's a dear need for that headquarters to be developed. The coordinator there, they recently came up with a project of building the mission house. A mission house and then perhaps a school. It's a large land. And so because of a lot of money we are spending on rentage, so if we can have a continental house, it will help. That one will be a bygone storage now. So we need finances to develop that land. It's a very good property. And in the heart of the country, in the heart of Blantyre. Blantyre is the second biggest city in Malawi. In fact, it's a commercial city of Malawi. While Lulungwe is a state capital, is a federal capital. But so we need resources to be able to develop the headquarters land. And principally the project is only on now, building a continental house, perhaps building a school, and then building perhaps a guest house. That's just the vision. And so if we could get finances to be able to execute that project, it will help us a long deal. And so even when during our last visit, the director tried to teach them on how they can use the thing that God has blessed them with to better their life. And they discover that they are not poor. Poverty is the state of the mind. So in their mindset, they are poor. But they need somebody that will ginger them out of that poverty, of that mentality, and then for development. So we need finances actually to develop the headquarters of.
Thank you. According to reports that our director wrote, that is on the last visitation to Kenya, he did mention there is a school in Kenya. But are there challenges that are familiar with that school, with that school, that a supporter can come in?
My sister, there are numerous challenges. Number one, that school is on a rented land. The classes are not comfortable. They are partitioned with plywood or something. It's not a solid building. So number one, we need a land for the school. We need a land for the school. Even the church is on a rented property. So we need a land for the school. We need a land for the church. Believe you me, if we can get a land and then that school is properly built, oh my God, it's something else. It's something else. So we need people that can come in to help us, number one, acquiring the land for the school. Number two, to set a structure. In fact, the country coordinator told us, if they can only have a land for the school and then just start, the school can fund herself. The school can even fund the ministry in Kenya. But the starting is a problem. And then one of the barriers we had in Kenya before was the embargo that the government put on church registration.
Okay.
But fortunately, just last year, we registered officially with the government of Kenya. So we can operate freely. So we need a land of our own in Kenya for the church, the headquarters, and then for the school. I told you the children are over 300. It's a big achievement.
Yes, it
With
is.
that shamble, a kind of manageable environment, imagine they have a very good environment. We'll put Kenya.
All right, thank you very much. It has been a very interesting conversation with you today. I and my teammates have learned a lot as regards to cross-border. Thank you very much for putting us through.
Thank you for the privilege for me to be part of what God is doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you out there can be a supporter, a huge supporter of what God is doing across the shores of Nigeria. This has been EMS Today. I am Elizabeth Josiah, and I had a wonderful conversation with no other person than the cross-border coordinator himself, Reverend Joshua Yakubu. Thank you for watching.